what kind of privileges is realistic for a small country like Singapore with limited resources to extend to every citizen?
I feel like that one will keep changing one. And also, honestly, I feel like the idea of a nation and what is a nation is something that will keep changing. I hate to get like postgraduate on this kind of thing, but like the idea of a nation last time was boundaries like that you conquer, and then there's a special set of rules or there's a different culture, and then the definition of what makes a citizen also has changed. Like last time it might be more of like born right of this land, or might be more ethnically enforced or defined. Then now it becomes, for example, if you take more immigrant welcome states like Canada, for example, it becomes people who choose to come here and adopt whatever this identity nationally is. And honestly, I did my master's paper about Singapore national identity and expressing it through animation. So I also have a little bit of a thing that I know about it. And I personally feel like the idea of Singapore national identity and what makes a citizen, right, is constantly changing. And it's very difficult to say for Singapore because Singapore essentially is an immigrant state in like for less than 100 years, right? Like, or you want to talk about bicentennial years, but essentially like Singapore is a very young nation that is made foundationally from a lot of immigrants coming here, unless you are Orang Laut, like a people of the sea that was here. And there's not many that I know a few, but they are not that populous, you know? So what makes a citizen, you can define it through economic means, you can define it through cultural means. And for Singapore, very hard to say also. Is it kiasunas? Is it the Merlion? Is it the Good Morning Tower? Is it all these symbolic things, or is it something deeper? Or is it
not
the
the Good
fact that
Morning
you
Tower.
don't have it? You know, because Merlion is a created one. And I used to be cynical about that. Like, fake one, they make one, they just made a legend. But honestly, it's pretty impressive also that you just make it because you can and you are young. So it's like that, man. You don't have that legacy of like 5,000 years of history, right? And I like that about Singapore sometimes, that actually you just make it. Like, no natural attractions, what do? Or we just make a fountain in Changi Jewel. How about that? I just make it happen.
Through money and a lot of
through
sacrifices.
money, engineering, like attracting good architects to create something compelling.
And
I make it happen. How about
and foreign labor, foreign labor.
So if that is your national identity, I think that's okay. But going back to the citizen thing, right? I feel like you're right. We have to define it, right? Otherwise, then what's the point? And we are not at that meta. Maybe next time in the world, right? There's no such thing as citizen. Everybody can just travel freely, but wherever you are in that business or that country, you just follow those rules.
Yeah.
Maybe lah, but we're not there yet. So we still need to define citizens and protect citizens.
Yeah. Because if not, then Singapore will just be a city.
Yeah.
And I think like life in a city is very transactional.
Yeah.
I think that's the challenge Singapore faces. It's both a city and a country, like city-state lah, right?
Yeah.
So I think in most parts of the world, to be a city is to be very like rational, to maximize
business
economic output, right?
Yeah.
But I think sometimes being a country also means like investing and spending on things that might not always have like an obvious economic
definitely.
profit or something,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So like stuff like national identity,
heritage,
history. I think all these are things that Singapore needs to balance like really, really hard.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that is really the challenge of a city-state lah, which
so
few other countries face in the world.
This stuff is very important. So the stories you tell about your nation and the morale and the reason that people come together, it helps you to push through adversity also. And also you can't just live life like leaving the moment something goes wrong. Even though I'm transactional like that, I also think through and have more long term. I might stick something through if I believe that in the future it will pick up. It's not like, oh, the moment is bad, then I just leave.
Yeah.
You know, like that's pretty bad in terms of a relationship also.
Yeah.
Or in terms of a company. It's not like the moment the share drop price, then you leave. You can't do that, right?
Yeah, I feel like I can't remember what's the topic, but
Also the development of soft things like national identity, history, heritage to even if we don't have a very steep culture of 1,000 years right now, to put the roots in place, because that might be meaningful later on, or to in fact help you be more profitable later on.
Yeah.
Not that we should think it's also very important, even though we are capitalistic creatures.
Yeah.